Welcome to my channel, Crochet for Baby. Thanks for watching. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to crochet this little cardigan sweater, coat, or jacket for baby girls between 0 and 3 months. Now, I did this little jacket to match the little dress that I showed you a couple of weeks back. Many of you requested that I make the matching little jacket, so here it is, and I hope you like it. Now, the one that we're going to make in the tutorial is for 0 to 3 months, but you can easily make it smaller or bigger from a newborn baby up to 9 to 12 months. Down here in the information box, I'm going to leave some information on how you can make it smaller or bigger, so be sure to check that out. Also, if you prefer a written pattern, check out my Etsy shop. I'll leave the link to my Etsy shop in the information box as well. Okay, let's get started, but first, don't forget, all of my tutorials are always in English and in Spanish. Don't forget to subscribe, share my tutorials, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Okay, to begin, I'll be using this 3mm crochet hook, and today I'm using this DK weight yarn. You can also use any number 3 yarn or 8 ply if you're in Australia. Now, to begin, I have 56 chains. This chain here is measuring about 12.25 inches, which is about 31 centimeters. If your chain is off by 1 or 2 centimeters, it's okay. Just continue with the first row. So here, to begin, on the second chain from the hook, 1 and 2 right here into the second, make a single crochet into the next chain and into each one of these chains. For this first row, this is all I'm going to do. I'm going to make 1 single crochet on each one of the chains. At the end of this first row, I'm going to have 55 single crochets. Continue, and I'll meet you at the end of this first row. I'm here at the end of this first row. This is where we did single crochets. I have a total of 55 single crochets. Now for the second row, chain 2 and turn. Now from here on, these 2 chains never count as a stitch. I'm making these 2 chains here so that when we finish our yoke, there's a straight line here. Now in this second row, we're going to separate the front panels, the sleeves, and the back. So for the front panel here, I need to make a total of 7 double crochets. So beginning on top of the first single crochet, make your first double crochet. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 double crochets. Now we're going to make our first corner, chain 2, and into the next single crochet, make a double crochet. Here I'm going to make a total of 13 double crochets, and this is going to be for one of the sleeves. So continue and make 13 double crochets, and then I'll meet you back to show you what we need to do next. I finished making these 13 double crochets. Now we're going to chain 2 and into the next single crochet, make a double crochet. Here's the second corner, and now for the back side, I'm going to make a total of 15 double crochets. So continue and make these 15 double crochets, and I will meet you back to show you what we need to do next. I finished making these 15 double crochets for the back side. Now chain 2 and into the next single crochet, make a double crochet. Here we're going to separate the other sleeve, so we're going to make a total of 13 double crochets. Continue, and I'll meet you back once we have these 13 double crochets. I finished making these 13 double crochets for the other sleeve. Now chain 2 and into the next single crochet, make a double crochet. Here we're going to finish with these last 7 double crochets. Continue, and I'll meet you at the end of the second row. I'm here at the end of this second row. I have a total of 55 double crochets, and then we have 4 corners. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have the front panel with 7 double crochets. We have one of the sleeves with 13 double crochets. This is the back side. We have 15 double crochets. The other sleeve, 13 double crochets, and the other front panel with 7 double crochets. So that's a total of 55 double crochets. Now for the second row, we're going to chain 2 and turn. Remember that 2 chains never count as a stitch. Now for this row, what we're going to do is we're going to always start this row by making 2 double crochets here at the beginning. 1 and 2. So into the first and into the second, make a double crochet. Now chain 1, skip 1 double crochet, and into the next, make a double crochet, chain 1, skip 1 double crochet, and into the next, make a double crochet, chain 1. Skip the last double crochet of this front panel, and inside the chain 2 space, or this first corner, you're always going to make a fan. The fan is going to consist of 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets. This is how you're going to work each one of the corners, like that, exactly in the same way. 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets. Now we have the sleeve. This is how you're going to begin for each section. You're going to chain 1, skip the first double crochet, and into the next, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1 double crochet, and into the next, double crochet, chain 1, and so on. I'm going to continue until I come to the second corner. Skip the last double crochet, and inside the next corner here, make a fan. Now chain 1, and again skip the first double crochet, and into the next, make a double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and into the next, double crochet, chain 1. This is how you're going to continue until you come to the third corner here, where you're going to do the same thing. You're going to make a fan, then chain 1, skip this first double crochet, and then make a double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and so on until you come here to the fourth corner, where you're going to do the same thing. I will meet you here at the end, 2 double crochets before we finish, to show you how we're going to finish this third row. I'm here at the end of this third row. I have 3 double crochets here left. I have made my last double crochet, chain 1, so I'm going to skip this double crochet, and into these last 2 double crochets, I'm going to make 1 double crochet on each. Now in this row, we're always going to start with 2 double crochets. Remember, the 2 chains do not count, and we're always going to finish with 2 double crochets. If we count each one of the double crochets, including the ones that are inside the chain 2 space, these fans here, you should have a total of 43 double crochets. Now for the fourth row, we're going to chain 2 and turn. The 2 chains never count as a stitch. In this row, what we're going to do is we're going to make double crochets on top of the double crochets, and we're going to make double crochets inside the chain 1 spaces. So beginning here, we have these 2 double crochets, so make 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. Into the chain 1 space, make a double crochet. On top of the double crochet, make a double crochet, double crochet, on top, double crochet, and so on until I come to the first corner. Here's the first corner. Make a fan again. We're always going to do this for every row. 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets. And then 2 double crochets here. Into the chain 1 space, a double crochet on top, and so on. That's all we're going to do. So into the chain 1 spaces, you make a double crochet. On top of the double crochets, you make a double crochet. And in each corner, you make a fan. And that's how we're going to continue for the rest of this fourth row. Continue, and I'll meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of this fourth row. I have a total of 87 double crochets. From here on, these are the 2 rows that we're always going to repeat: the row of double crochets and the row where we do double crochets, chain 1. So now for the 5th row, we're going to do the same thing we did here on the 3rd row. So chain 2, turn. Remember, the 2 chains never count. beginning here, remember we always begin with 2 double crochets and we always end with 2 double crochets whenever we do this row. So into these first 2 double crochets, make 1 double crochet on each. Now chain 1, skip 1 double crochet, and into the next a double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and into the next double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and into the next double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and into the next double crochet, chain 1, skip the last double crochet for this front panel, and inside this first corner do the same thing we do for every row. 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets. So make a fan. Now to begin the next side, chain 1, skip the first double crochet, and into the next double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and into the next double crochet, chain 1. This is how you're going to continue for the rest of this 5th row. At the end of this 5th row, we're going to have 59 double crochets. Continue, and I'll meet you at the end of this row. I'm here at the end of this 5th row. I have 3 double crochets left here. I did my last double crochet, chain 1. I'm going to skip this one, and into the last 2 double crochets, I'm going to make 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. And this is how I finish this 5th row. Now for this row, I have a total of 59 double crochets, including the ones on each corner. Now from here on also, we're going to repeat these 2 rows, this row that we just finished and the row where we do just double crochets, and inside each one of the corners you're going to do the exact same thing, a fan, 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets. So here, to start you off on the 6th row, we're going to chain 2 and turn. In this row I need to do the row of just double crochet, so turn. So here, beginning on top of the first double crochet, make a double crochet, on top of the next a double crochet, into the chain 1 spaces, double crochet, and so on. Here we're just going to make double crochets until I come to the first corner, where I'm going to show you exactly what you're going to do for each one of the corners. Here's the first corner. Inside this chain 2 space, you're going to do another fan. And then you're going to continue along and work 1 double crochet on each double crochet and into each one of the chain 1 spaces. That's how you're going to continue for the rest of this row. At the end of this 6th row, you're going to have 119 double crochets. Then you're going to chain 2, turn, and then you're going to repeat the same thing we did on the 5th row. Now, I'm not exactly sure how many rows I'm going to do from here on, but continue, repeat these 2 rows, and let me check the end of that row. Okay, I'm here at the end of the 7th row, so I only did 1 more row after I left you off. At the end of this 7th row, I have 75 double crochets. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start using the pattern here. So to do this, I'm going to chain 3 and turn. Before you begin, I want you to put a stitch marker here on the back side. We're going to count a total of 37 double crochets. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 37. And into this 38th double crochet, put a stitch marker just like I did here. Here for the back side, I'm going to have to do a small adjustment, and I think that if you put the stitch marker before I do that, it'll be easier. That way you don't get lost as to what you need to do. So beginning into the first chain 1 space here, I'm going to make a shell. Each one of these shell stitches is going to consist of 4 double crochets for this row. So this here would be row 8. Now I have my 4 double crochets, and into the next chain 1 space here, make a single crochet. Into the next chain 1 space, make another shell. So 4 double crochets. Into the next chain 1 space, make a single crochet. into the next chain 1 space, make 1 shell. Into the next chain 1 space, make a single crochet, and into this last chain 1 space for the front panel, make a shell. Now here for this front panel, you should have 4 shells. 1, 2, 3, 4. When we do this other side, you're going to also have 4 shells. Now we have our first corner. I need to make a single crochet before I do anything inside this chain 2 space. So I'm going to make my single crochet into the second double crochet out of these 2 of this fan here. So make a single crochet there. Now inside the chain 2 space here, make a shell. So 4 double crochets. Now I need to make a single crochet, so I can't go here because I need to start with a shell just like I did here. So what I'm going to do is into this first double crochet out of these last 2 here, make a single crochet. This is how you're going to work each one of the corners. You're going to do a single crochet into the second double crochet, a shell inside the chain 2 space, and finish with a single crochet into the first double crochet out of these 2. Now I need to start this side with a shell. So into this first chain 1 space, I'm going to make my shell. Now this here is going to be for the sleeve. So I'll tell you once this part is done how many shells we're going to have for each sleeve. Now into the next chain 1 space, make a single crochet, and into the next chain 1 space, make a shell. I'm going to continue like this until I come to the to the second corner. Single crochet, and then a shell into the next space. Single crochet, shell, single crochet, shell, single crochet, shell. Single crochet, shell, single crochet, and finish with a shell into this last chain 1 space for the sleeve. Now for the sleeve, you should have, not counting this shell that we have inside this corner, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shells. So we have 4 and then 8. You're going to do the same thing here on this other sleeve and then the front panel. Now here we have the second corner, so into this second double crochet, make a single crochet. Inside the chain 2 space, make a shell, and finish with a single crochet into the first double crochet here, or into the third. 1, 2, 3. So into this double crochet. Now I have the first chain 1 space for the back side. I'm going to make a shell. Into the next space, a single crochet. Into the next space, a shell. Into the next space, single crochet. Into the next space, a shell. Into the next space, single crochet, and into the next space, a shell. Now this is where we're going to make our adjustment. So far, not counting this shell that I have on the second corner, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I need to make a single crochet. Instead of making my single crochet into this space before my stitch marker, I'm going to make my single crochet on top of this double crochet. This is double crochet number 38. That's why we went ahead and marked it. Now I'm going to skip this, chain one space, and into the next. Here I'm going to make my shell. Okay, so that is the adjustment that we needed to do. If I would have continued with the same sequence, single crochet shell into these two spaces here, I would have been left with a space here at the end. So that's how we're going to adjust it. And I want to make sure that I have 8 shells for the back side, because I'm going to have 4 shells for each one of the front panels. Remember, the front panels and the back side need to match. So here's my shell, and into this space here make a single crochet and then a shell. I'm going to show you this back side part until I come to the third corner. I want to make sure you all get this part correctly. That's why I'm going to show you. Remember, you can always pause and rewind any part of the video, and you can also slow it down on YouTube if it's too fast for you. So into this last, chain one space for the back side, make your last shell. Now for the back side, we have 8 shells, not counting this one in the corner. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. To finish here, I need to make my last single crochet, so I'm going to make it into this second double crochet, and then inside the chain 2 space of this third corner, make a shell, and then make a single crochet into this double crochet, and then into the first chain one space for the sleeve, again make a shell, and then this part is the same as the other side. Single crochet shell, single crochet shell. You're going to continue like this. So here's a single crochet. You're going to do shell, single crochet, shell, single crochet, shell, single, shell, single, shell, single, shell, single, shell, and then single crochet into the second double crochet, a shell, and then a single crochet, and then start with a shell, single, shell, single, shell, single, shell, and finish with a double crochet here at the end of this 8th row. So that's how you're going to continue for the rest. So continue, and I'll meet you at the end of this 8th row. Okay, I'm here at the end of this 8th row. I did my last shell stitch here. To finish, we're going to make a double crochet here into this last double crochet. And this is how I finished the 8th row. If we count each one of these shell stitches, you should have a total of 36. Now, what we're going to do in the next row is we're going to divide the sleeves, and we're going to start counting rows again. So for the first row here, chain 3 and turn. So now we have these shell stitches. Each one has 4 double crochets. So beginning here into this first shell, into the first 2 double crochet, make a front post double crochet, chain 1, and make 2 front post double crochets. That's all we're going to do for each one of the shells. 2 front post double crochets, chain 1, 2 front post double crochets. Now we have the second shell, same thing, 2 front post double crochets, chain 1, 2 front post double crochets. Same thing for the third shell, 2 front post double crochets, chain 1, 2 front post double crochets. Two front post double crochets, chain 1, 2 front post double crochets. Now we have this last shell for this first corner, same thing. Work 2 front post, double crochets, chain 1, 2 front post, double crochets. And here's the front panel. Now we're going to chain 3. We're going to skip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and into this 9th shell, which is inside this second corner, we're going to work 2 front post, double crochets, chain 1, 2 front post, double crochets. And here is the sleeve. Now if you want to add more chains here under the sleeve, you can. I'm just going to leave it like this. I think that for the size that we're making this for, it's perfect. Now for each one of the sleeves, we're going to be left with 2, 4, 6, 8 shells. Now we're going to continue for the back side. Here for the back side, same thing. You're going to make 2 front post double crochets, chain 1, 2 front post double crochets, and then continue with the same thing for the next shell. Here for the back side, including this shell that we have here in this corner, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So continue, and I'll meet you right about here to show you how we're going to divide the second sleeve. Okay, I finished making these shells for the back side. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now to divide the second sleeve, chain 3, skip 8 shells, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and into this 9th shell here, make 2 front post double crochets, chain 1, 2 front post double crochets. And here you're just going to continue now and finish this side. We're going to be left with 5 shells here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Continue, and I'll meet you at the end of this row. Okay, I'm here at the end of this first row. This is where we have divided the sleeves. Here at the end, I'm going to pinch the second chain here and make a double crochet. And this is how I finished the first row where we divided the sleeves. We have a total of 20 shells for this row. We have 5 and 5 for each one of the front panels, and for the back side we have 10. So that's a total of 20 shells for this first row. Now for the second row, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to a slightly bigger hook. I'm going to use this 3.5mm crochet hook. If you're using a different hook size to make the sweater smaller or bigger, just go up half a hook size, just like I did here. So with this 3.5mm hook for the second row, I'm going to chain 1 and turn. Now beginning on top of this first double crochet, make a single crochet, chain 1. Now into the first and last shell, this is what we're going to do. We're going to make our shells with 4 double crochets. This is only for the first and for the last shell. So make 4 double crochets. Now chain 1 between the shells here right in the middle, make a single crochet, chain 1. And into the next shell, I'm going to now make 6 double crochets. The first and the last shell are only going to be 4 double crochets. The ones in between are going to consist of 6 double crochets. So 2, 4, 6. Now chain 1 in between the shells right here in the middle, make a single crochet, chain 1, and then into the next shell, 1 more shell of 6 double crochets. I'm doing this so that the edge here of the front panels is nice and straight. If I put too many double crochets here, it tends to be a bit wavy and not straight. So I have 6, 6, chain 1 in between the 2, make a single crochet, chain 1, and then 1 more shell. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, chain 1, single crochet between the shells, chain 1, and then a shell. Three, 4, 5, 6, chain 1. We have the 3 chains here, right into the second chain, which is the middle chain here. Make a single crochet, chain 1, and then we have the first shell for the back side. Make your shell of 6 double crochets. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, chain 1. In the middle of these 2 shells, make a single crochet, chain 1, and then a shell. This is how you're going to continue for the rest of this row. So each one of the shells is going to consist of 6 double crochets, chain 1, and then single crochet, chain 1, shell. And that's all. So continue like this, exactly in the same way. Here under the second sleeve, you're going to make your last shell here, then a single crochet, shell, and then finish. I will meet you here at the end to show you how we're going to finish this second row. I'm here at the end of this second row. I did my last single crochet, then I did a chain 1, and I have my last shell. Here at the end, just like I did at the beginning, I'm going to make 4 double crochets. Always, always, the first and the last are going to consist of 4 double crochets. Now, here at the end, chain 1, and into the second chain here at the end, make a single crochet. And here is the second row with a total of 20 shells. 2 of those shells consist of 4 double crochets. The rest consist of 6 double crochets. Now, for the third row, chain 3 and turn. In this row, we have to do the front post double crochets. So the first and the last shell, we're going to make here 2 front post double crochets, chain 1, and then 2 front post double crochets. Now for the second shell and the rest, we're going to start with 3 front post double crochets, chain 1, and finish with 3 front post double crochets. That's how you're going to work each one of the shells till you come to the last one. 3 front post double crochets, chain 1, 3 front post double crochets. Continue to the end of this third row, and I'll meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of this third row. This is where we've done front post double crochets. I have my last shell. Here at the end, make 2 front post double crochets, chain 1, 2 front post double crochets. Now to finish this row, we're going to go here where we have this single crochet and finish with a double crochet. Now from here on, these are the 2 rows that you're going to repeat, the row of front post double crochets and the row of shells. So for the 4th row, chain 1, turn. In this row, I need to do the row of shells. So beginning on top of this first double crochet here, make a single crochet, chain 1, and inside this first shell, make 4 double crochets. The first and the last shell in this row will consist of 4 double crochets. Now chain 1 in between the shells, right in the middle, make a single crochet, chain 1, and into each one of the remaining shells, you're going to make a shell of 6 double crochets. It's 3, 4, 5, 6, chain 1. In the middle of these 2 shells, make a single crochet, chain 1, and then repeat the same thing, 1 more shell. Continue like this to the end of this 4th row. I'll meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of this 4th row. This is where we've done these shells. This is my last shell here at the end. Remember, the first and the last shell consist of 4 double crochets. I have 1 chain here at the end. Now to finish this row, pinch the 2nd chain here at the end and make a single crochet. And this is how I finish this 4th row. Now from here on, these are the 2 rows that we're going to repeat. This row of shells and the row of front post double crochets. So for row 5, I need to do the row of front post double crochets. So chain 3, turn, and the first and the last shell here, you're going to do 2 front post double crochets, chain 1, 2 front post double crochets, and then the rest of the shells consist of 6 double crochets, so you're going to do 3 front post double crochets, chain 1, and 3 front post double crochets. And this is all we're going to do for this 5th row. When you finish this row here at the end, you're going to make 2 front post double crochets, chain 1, 2 front post double crochets, and then you're going to finish with a double crochet here at the end on top of this single crochet. This is how you're going to continue for the rest of this row, repeating these 2 rows. I'm not exactly sure how many rows I'm going to do for mine, but continue watching. I will let you know exactly how many rows we're going to do, so I'll meet you at the end of that row. Okay, I finished making this part. I did a total of 17 rows. So from here where we divided the sleeves up to this last row, I have 17 rows. You can make this part here longer if you want. Now it's measuring from the top of the shoulder to the end of this last row. It's measuring about 27 centimeters, which is about 10.5 inches. Now here at the end, when I did this last row, I just did my last double crochet here at the end, then cut my yarn and pass my yarn through that last loop. Now what I'm going to do with this pink yarn here is I'm going to turn this like this. This here is the right side, so we're going to go on top of the last double crochet that I did. I'm going to grab a loop with this pink yarn and this same 3.5 millimeter hook, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to chain 3, then I'm going to go in between the next 2 double crochets, which is right here, and make a slip stitch. Chain 3, inside this chain 1 space, make a slip stitch, chain 3, slip stitch between the next 2 double crochets, and now I have the next shell here. Skip this space and go in between the next 2 double crochets here and make a slip stitch, chain 3, slip stitch between the next 2, chain 3, slip stitch into this chain 1 space, chain 3, slip stitch between the next 2 double crochets, chain 3, and then a slip stitch. Again, here's the second shell, and that's what it looks like. Now we have the third shell. Skip this space into these 2 double crochets, and right in the center make a slip stitch, chain 3, slip stitch between the next 2, and so on. This is how you're going to continue for the rest. That's what it looks like. So I'll meet you at the end of this row. Okay, I finished making this row. This is where we did these chains and slip stitches. Here at the end I did a slip stitch here into the second chain, then I cut my yarn and passed my yarn through that last loop, and this part here is done. That's what it looks like. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make single crochets here along the edges and along the neckline. Then I'm going to show you how to make the sleeve. I already did this side here, so I'll show you after we finish this here. So to do this, we're going to go right here along the very edge. Into this same space where we finished, we have chains here at the end. So insert your hook right there. I'm going to use this 3.5 millimeter hook, and I'm going to use this same yarn. I'm going to chain 1, and into this same space here, make 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. Now we have the row where we finished with a single crochet, make a single crochet there, and then again I have the row of chains, make 2 single crochets, so 1 then 2 into the next row, 1 single crochet, and then 2. This is how I'm going to continue to about right here where we have the yoke. I'm going to show you how we're going to work this part, so I'll meet you right about here to show you that next. Okay, I finished making these single crochets along this side. Up to here I have 26 single crochets. Now I have this row of shells, so into this row here I'm going to make 2 single crochets. Into the next row, these are 2 chains, so make 1 single crochet there, then 2, 1, 2, 1, and then 2, and then into this row where we did the single crochets, make 1 for now. Now let's see how many stitches we have. We had 26 up to here. That's 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38 single crochets for this side. If you're off by 1 or 2, it's okay. The important thing is that when we do the other side, you do the same number of single crochets. So for me, I have 38. Now, here for the neckline, into this last single crochet space right here, I'm going to make 2 more. This way I'm able to turn, so make 2 single crochets there so that at the end into this space we have 3 single crochets. So here for the neckline, what we're going to do is I'm going to insert my hook not on top of the stitch, but I'm just going to go in between the single crochets, so like this. If you pull, you will see where I'm inserting the hook right here into these spaces. So that's all I'm going to do all around the neckline. Now if you feel the neckline is a bit too big, it's too wide, then you can do some reductions here where you go in like this, grab a loop into the next, grab a loop, close, and that'll reduce the neckline a tiny bit. It's optional if you want to do it. If not, just continue in the same way that I just showed you. So I'm just going in between the single crochets here. Also, you can use a slightly smaller hook to do this part and it'll reduce it a bit more. So I'm just going to continue all around, and that's what it looks like. So continue and I'll meet you at the other side. Okay, I finished making these single crochets along the neckline. Now we're going to do the same number of stitches here along this side. I did 28 on the other side, so here I did my last single crochet, and into this same space here, this same row, I'm going to make 2 more single crochets because this is going to be one of the corners, and then I have the next row here. I'm going to make 1 because there's a chain 2 space there, and then the row of double crochets. So make 2, 1, 2, then 1, 2, and then here, if I remember correctly, on the other side we did 2, so I'm going to do 2 here as well. Then we have this next row, so do 2 again, and then 1. This is the single crochet here at the end, so 1, then 2, 1, 2, 1 till you come here to the end. Make sure that you have 28 single crochets or however many you had on the other side. So I'll meet you at the end here to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I finished making these single crochets. I have 38 single crochets here. So now to finish, I have this small gap here. Just insert your hook right there and make a slip stitch. That way we're not adding an extra stitch. Now chain 1, turn, and now we're going to work our way up this side here and then around the neckline and then down this other side, just making single crochets. So all you're going to do is 1 single crochet on top of the single crochets from the previous row, just like this and all around. So continue, and I'll meet you here at this other end right here to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I finished making this second row. Here at the end, I just did a slip stitch, cut my yarn and passed my yarn through that last loop, and that second row here is done. Now what we're going to do is, with this same hook and this pink yarn here, I'm going to go right here. This is where I did the slip stitch. So into that stitch right there, insert your hook, grab a loop in this color pink in my case, and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now skip 1 single crochet and into the next make a slip stitch, chain 3 again, skip 1 single crochet and into the next, slip stitch, chain 3, skip 1 and into the next, a slip stitch. This is how we're going to continue all around. So continue, and I'll meet you here at this end. Okay, I finished here at this other side. Here at the end, I just joined to the beginning with a slip stitch, cut my yarn, and passed my yarn through this last loop. And this side, along with this other side, is all done, and that's what it looks like. This is the front here. I also went ahead and added these little buttons. I didn't add any buttonholes here, but if you want to add smaller buttons, you can use the spaces in between the chains here and the single crochets as buttonholes. I'm using the spaces up here, this gap here, and then the next one down into the rows of double crochets. The buttons that I'm using here, these buttons are 12mm, but you can use smaller if you want. You can also use the spaces in between the single crochets as buttonholes. So I didn't add any buttonholes because I didn't need to. I have plenty of holes here along the side where I can use as buttonholes, and that's what it looks like. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do one of the sleeves. I already went ahead and did this side, so we're going to do it exactly in the same way. All you're going to do when you do this other side is exactly the same thing I'm going to show you here on this side. So we're going to turn this like this, and we're going to work this row from the inside out. We're going to follow the same pattern. My last row here was this row of shells, so we're going to go here under this sleeve. We have this single crochet that we did in the second row after we divided the sleeves. So right into that same single crochet, just go right there, right in the center, insert your hook, and to do this I'm going to use this 3mm hook. So grab a loop here, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and into this same stitch here make 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so here's the first shell for this first row. Now we have the second shell, or the first shell for the sleeve. Remember, for the sleeve we left 8 shells, so this is the first one. Now between the first shell and this one that I just did, right in the center, I need to make a double crochet so that there is no gap there. So into the row where we divided the sleeves right there, insert your hook and make a double crochet. Now we have the first shell for the sleeve. We're going to work 4 front post double crochets. Now I'm not going to add a chain here to separate the 2 double crochets like we normally would, like right here. But if you want to make that chain, you can. Just be consistent every time. Now into each one of these shells we're going to do the same thing. We're going to make 4 front post double crochets, and that's all we're going to do for the shells here around the sleeve. So continue, finish, and make 4 front post double crochets on each one of the shells, and I will meet you right here to show you how we're going to finish this first row. I'm here at the end of this second row. This is my last shell here, And now again, between this first shell and the last one that I just did, I need to make a double crochet so that there is no gap here. So we're going to do the same thing I did here at the beginning. So what I'm going to do is right here into this last double crochet when we divided the sleeves, insert your hook there and make a double crochet. Now to finish, we're going to go here and pinch the third chain and join with a slip stitch. And here is the first row. For this first row, I have a total of 9 shells, including this one that I added at the beginning, and then 2 double crochets on either side. Now for row 2, we're going to chain 1 and turn. Now for this row only, since I have a double crochet here, I'm going to make a single crochet right on top of this double crochet. Now chain 1, and we have the first shell here. So right in the middle, so we're going to have 2 double crochets on either side, insert your hook right there, and make your first shell for this second row. So each one of the shells is going to consist of 4 double crochets from here on. Now chain 1, and right in between the shells, right in the center, make a single crochet, chain 1, and then again we have the second shell. Right in the middle of these 2, make another shell, and this is all we're going to do. Chain 1, and right in the middle of the shells here in between, make a single crochet, chain 1, and then again in the middle of the next shell, 1 more shell. That's all I'm going to do. At the end of this second row, you're going to have 9 shells. Continue, and I will meet you at the end of this second row. I'm almost done with this second row. Up to here, I have 8 shells. Now I have a double crochet and this last shell. So here we're going to chain 1, and on top of the double crochet right here, make a single crochet, chain 1, and then in between these 2 double crochets right there, right in the center of this shell, make your shell. Now to finish, chain 1 and go right here where we did the first single crochet and join with a slip stitch. And this is how I finished the second row with a total of 9 shells. We're going to now continue with these 9 shells. So for every row, when we do the shells, we're always going to have 9 shells. Now we're going to repeat the row of front post double crochets. So for the third row, turn, don't chain or anything, just turn. Now here we have the first shell. Insert your hook like this through the first double crochet and work a slip stitch, a front post slip stitch. This is so that these chains that I'm doing look like they're front post. So chain 3, and now into the next 3 double crochets, make 3 front post double crochets. Now we have the second shell, same thing, make 4 front post double crochets, and that's all you're going to do for each one of the shells for this third row. So continue, finish this third row, and I'll meet you here at the end. I'm here at the end of this third row. This is where we did front post double crochets. Now to finish this row, we're just going to always pinch the third chain here and join with a slip stitch. And this is how I finished the third row. Now for the fourth row, chain 1 and turn. Now to begin this row, I need to make a single crochet in the middle of these 2 shells, between the last shell and the first one. So right here, make a single crochet, chain 1, and then in the middle of these 2 double crochets of the first shell, make your first shell for this fourth row. Chain 1, in between shells right here, make a single crochet, chain 1, and in the middle here of the next shell, make your next shell. And that's all we're going to do from here on. Now this row is very easy. This is all we're going to be doing. So continue, finish this fourth row, and I'll meet you at the end to show you once again how to finish this row and then how to start your 5th row. I'm here at the end of this 4th row. I have my last shell here, chain 1 to finish this row. Go on top of the first single crochet right here and join with a slip stitch. And this is how I finish this 4th row with a total of 9 shells. Now for the next row, I need to make the row of front post double crochets. So to do this, you are going to just turn. Don't chain or anything, just turn. You're going to go into the first double crochet of the first shell like this, grab a loop and make a front post slip stitch. Now chain 3 and then make 3 front post double crochets. This row is very easy. All you do is 4 front post double crochets on each one of the shells. So continue, finish this 5th row. At the end, when you're done with this row, you're going to go right here, pinch the 3rd chain or insert your hook right there into the 3rd chain, make a slip stitch, chain 1, turn, and then into that first space, like right here, make a single crochet, chain 1, and then repeat the row of shells just like I did here. Now these are the 2 rows that we're going to repeat from here on, and we're going to do a total of 13 rows, which is what I did here on this side. So continue, finish, and I'll meet you at the end of the 13th row. I'm here at the end of row 13, so in total I did 13 rows. Here's the row of fans that we had for the yoke, and then we did this row of front post double crochet. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. This is row 13. So to finish this row, we're going to go here where we have the 3rd chain and join with a slip stitch. Now for row 14, we are going to turn, and here we're going to make 3 slip stitches. So the first 2 are going to be on top of the double crochets, make 2 slip stitches, and then the next one is going to be between these 2 double crochet, so make a slip stitch there. So I have 3 slip stitches, chain 3, and into this same space here make 2 double crochets. Now into the 2nd shell right here, right in the middle, again make 3 double crochets, 3 double crochets between the next 2 double crochets, so the next shell. And this is all I'm going to do for this row number 14. Continue, and I'll meet you here at the end. I'm here at the end of this 14th row. I did my last shell here. I have a total of 9 shells of 3 double crochets each. So to finish, go here to the 3rd chain and join with a slip stitch. And this is how I finish this 14th row. Now for a total of 3 rows, we're going to do this part. So to do the first row, you're going to chain 1, and into this same stitch where we joined, make your first single crochet. Single crochet on top of the 2nd, double crochet, single crochet on top of the next, and so on. So you're just going to make single crochets on top of each one of the double crochets. When you finish this row, you're just going to join here to the beginning with a slip stitch, chain 1, and then make your first single crochet into that same stitch, and then continue for the 2nd row, and then repeat the same thing for the 3rd row. I will meet you at the end of the 3rd row to show you how we're going to finish this last row in this color pink. Okay, I finished making these 3 rows. Now I forgot to mention at the beginning of the first row of single crochets that I had a total of 27 single crochets. So for the rest of the next 2 rows, I was also going to have 27 single crochets. Now here at the end, to finish this 3rd row, I just joined to the beginning with a slip stitch, cut my yarn, and pass my yarn through that last loop, and this part here is done. Now we're going to do this last row here in pink. So to do this, we're going to insert a hook again into the same stitch where I did my slip stitch to join that 3rd row. So now we're going to grab a loop here with this pink yarn, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm using the same hook, the 3mm, skip 1 single crochet, and into the next make a slip stitch, chain 3, skip 1 single crochet, and into the next slip stitch, chain 3 again, skip 1, and into the next a slip stitch. This is all I'm going to do for this last row, so continue and I'll meet you here at the end to show you the finished sleeve. Okay, I finished making this last row. Here at the end, I just made one last slip stitch, cut my yarn and passed my yarn through that last loop, and this part here is done. So the whole sleeve now is complete, and that's what it looks like. Now you're going to do exactly the same thing I did here on this side. You're going to do it here on this side. So make sure to do that exactly in the same way. So this little cardigan sweater is all done to match the little dress that I showed you. Now let me give you the finished measurements. From the top of the neckline down to the end of the sleeve, it's measuring about 23.5 centimeters, which is about 9.25 inches. From under the sleeve to the end of the sleeve, it's measuring about 13.5 centimeters, which is about 5.25 inches. From the top of the shoulder to the end of this last row here, it's measuring about 11 inches, which is about 28 centimeters. And the chest, this part here, chest to top, it's measuring about 24 centimeters, which is about 9.5 inches. So based on these measurements, this little coat, jacket, or little cardigan sweater is for baby girls between 0 and 3 months. And I did it to match the little dress that I showed you. Many of you were asking for a matching little sweater, so here it is. Another option would be to also make the matching little pants, so let me know, comment below, and let me know if you want me to do that. I can also do that for you all. Now, like I said, it's for 0 to 3 months, but you can easily make it smaller or bigger from a newborn baby up to 9 to 12 months. Down here in the information box, I'm going to leave some information on how you can make it smaller or bigger, so be sure to check that out. Okay, so this was today's tutorial. I hope you like it. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.